A constitutional law professor and associate dean at George Washington University Law School wrote an op-ed that's been making the rounds in the media for the last couple days. A man by the name of Alan Morrison, a law professor by the name of Alan Morrison, where he argues that the Democratic Party, that entity in and of itself, needs to file a lawsuit immediately challenging Donald Trump's eligibility to ever run for office here in the United States ever again. And of course, you would do this under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment of the United States, which, of course, disqualifies a person from being president who, while holding a federal office, participated in or supported an insurrection against the United States. Simple enough, right? Democratic Party, you've got candidates out there. You're obviously going to have a candidate for president. Technically, you do with Joe Biden right now. You would have standing to sue Donald Trump and challenge his eligibility based on all of the information that we've received from the January 6th Select Committee. 2 months ago, I would have sat here and I would have told you that this was a stupid idea. Today, that's not my thinking. Still, part of me kind of thinks, nah, I don't know that we should do it. But before, the 2 months ago, we didn't have all of this insider information that we had right now. We didn't have all of this stuff public from the January 6th Select Committee. And that, of course, is what has changed my way of thinking on this, even though, again, it wasn't an issue back then, but it is now. So, based on what we know from the January 6th Select Committee, Donald Trump wanted the armed people to be a part of the crowd. So that's number one, in support of the fact that he supported an insurrection. Number two, he wanted to physically be with them as they marched on the Capitol, right? That's the whole exchange that took place with the Secret Service. No, you can't go. And the Cassidy Hutchinson testimony that, of course, has now been corroborated by a police officer member of the motorcade that was with him there. So that would have been point number two. Point number three would be him, or at least all the testimony of him watching it on TV, being delighted that it happened, saying that he agrees with him, maybe Mike Pence deserves it, those kinds of things. Yeah, I think you've got a pretty solid case right there under the 14th Amendment that Donald Trump very clearly supported an insurrection. Not to mention all of the other, legalities of insurrection, because the insurrection doesn't just have to be the Capitol riot, right? That was the physical insurrection. There was also, let's call it the paper insurrection, right? I think that's a good term for it. The insurrection that happened on paper, the fake elector schemes, the considering using the military to go and confiscate voting machines. That's the paper insurrection that you could probably successfully argue that Donald Trump, obviously as the leader of all of this, was heavily involved in and supported. So no matter which route you want to go, you want to talk about the physical insurrection that took place at the Capitol, you want to talk about the one that happened on paper, that's a pretty solid case. And that, again, the Democratic Party would clearly have standing, as they would be running people in the same election that Trump himself would likely be running in. But then Morrison makes another point, and it's a point I agree and disagree with. It's weird, I hold both opinions on his line here, but let me say it. He mentions the fact that, let me read what he says. Will this lawsuit succeed? No one can know for sure. But it seems as if there is nothing to lose, or at least not if the Department of Justice does not indict Trump for inciting the January 6th insurrection. Nothing to lose. I agree and disagree. If it's successful, then yeah, totally worth it. If it's unsuccessful, however, you do run the risk. You don't run the risk because we know 100% this would happen. If it's unsuccessful, Donald Trump is going to use that as a catalyst to bring in all of his MAGA freaks and, of course, maybe even some moderate Republicans by going out there and saying, look, they tried to kick me off the ballot, but I'm still here. And I say that because Marjorie Taylor Greene did the same thing. Madison Cawthorn did the same thing, although he still ultimately lost his primary. But these people that we have challenged so far under the 14th Amendment for allegedly inciting insurrection or supporting it in any way, they've prevailed. They've been successful. whereas the lawsuits seeking to get these people barred from office have not been. And they all used it as a talking point, as a lightning rod, really, to get their supporters to come out in even stronger numbers. Again, didn't quite work for Cawthorn, but he had some other issues, including the entire Republican establishment against him. But that is the only thing we have to lose. But honestly, I don't even know that it's that big of a risk. And that's why I say I agree and disagree with that statement. Because you do run the risk of that, but I think it's a risk worth taking. I support this idea. I think Morrison is really onto something here. Now, I wouldn't say immediately. He wants it immediately. I would say wait a bit. Let's let the committee go a little bit deeper. But we don't even have to let them finish. We just, maybe shore up a couple of the loose ends here, like this, primetime hearing we got coming up Thursday evening that's going to talk about the 187 minutes of Trump's inaction. That could be the deal clincher. So once we get that, I say they file this lawsuit. But that would require the Democratic Party to have a bit of a bigger backbone, and I just don't know that they've got it in them. Hey everyone, this is Aspen. And did you know that for the low cost of $0 per day, you can subscribe to the Fair and Balanced YouTube channel? We also encourage you to like, comment, and share, but again, click that subscribe button and help Aspen not be so grumpy.